everybody. Elizabeth Johnston here, and I'm super excited to be talking to Christine Goad today because we're going to be talking about story and the entrepreneur. And before we jump into that, I'd really love it, Christine, if you would just briefly tell us a little bit more about who you are and who you serve.
Thank you. I'm Christine Goad, and I call myself the Surfing Your Edge coach because I like to help people get out on the edge of their comfort zone and stay there a little bit longer than they want to so that they can jump up to the next level. I think a lot of us are looking for something more, especially with COVID. I think a lot of people have really re-examined what life should be and what it could be. And I think we're all looking for a little bit more, and we're not going to find it in our comfort zone, as hard as that might be to hear. So I can help you take the little baby steps to get outside your comfort zone and stretch that and really start to reimagine what's possible for you.
Oh, that is awesome. And, I think you make a really good point about the pandemic and COVID, because I think that really placed people squarely outside of their comfort zone. But and I think a lot of them just like, oh my goodness, I want to go back to where I was, but that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
And so you're going to be able to really help them sort of capitalize on that energy, because it is energy that has moved them to the edge or over the edge of their comfort zone. And being able to capitalize on that energy and that movement to create something new and better and more wonderful. That's so awesome.
Thank you. Plus, I mean, it's a muscle, right?
Yeah.
The better you get at doing the hard things, the better you get at doing the hard things. And the more you are experienced at that, that's going to give you an edge over other people who may not have that muscle developed.
Awesome. And I think part of developing that muscle is creating new stories for yourself to step into and up level. So can you share a story from your own life and business where you made that transition, where you realized that you had a story that wasn't serving you and or wasn't the one that you wanted, and how did you recognize that and change things?
That has happened to me so often. One story that I was telling myself for 10 years when I was trying to figure out what business to start, I was telling myself that I was a smart woman and I could figure it all out before I made any mistakes. I could like map out from here to there and in my head. And then when I actually got ready to start my business, I could start it and make no mistakes and everything would be perfect. I wouldn't spend money I didn't need to spend. I wouldn't make any mistakes. So that was one story I was telling myself that was absolutely wrong. The truer story is that a path is made by walking, that you take a step and you reevaluate, take a step and reevaluate. And that is for women, I think that's a very hard story to accept, but that's the truth. So that's one of the things that I really help my clients with, is understanding that we really do have to be willing to make mistakes. They're just basically, that's how we learn, and that's how we get from where we want to go to where we want to be. So that's one story. I have others. Well, I have so many others.
Yeah. And, you were sharing a story with me earlier about your landing page and your sales page and the story that you realized that was coming out of that experience. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. In 1998, I did a cross-country bike trip, and I was looking for myself. I was trying to figure out what I was supposed to do in the world, and I didn't get the message that I wanted. I didn't understand the message that I got. And afterward, instead of being empowered to go off and launch my 30s and be this amazing person who knew her place in the world, I got severely depressed instead and spent the next almost 20 years figuring out what message I got on the big ride, what it really meant. And then I was creating my most recent product, or my most my most exciting program, which is called, the Surfing Your Edge Experience. And we actually go surfing in Panama. And then there's a 6-month coaching package on the back end. And as I was writing the sales page for that, I realized that I had been asking the wrong questions on the big ride. I had been asking for the universe to tell me what box I fit in. Instead, I was supposed to ask, what box should I create?
Wow.
And I was looking for the universe to say, oh, you have these skills and these interests, and you fit in perfectly right here. And what the universe was saying was, go be you. And I did not like that answer. I didn't understand that answer. I had no idea what to do with it. And so when I created the Surfing Your Edge experience, I went, oh my gosh, this is what I needed when I got off that big ride. So I had created the program that I needed 20 years earlier. Oh. And it just gave me chills. It was an amazing experience to sit there and realize that. And it kind of shut me down a little bit, because then it was like, oh my gosh, this is the thing I've been building toward. And then I got scared. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to share this with people. And what if they don't like it?
But what was it that at that moment, like you said you were actually writing your sales page and this aha moment occurred to you. Like, what was it about that writing process in writing that sales page that really made you make those connections?
I think when I'm writing, I'm working with a different part of my brain, and I'm asking it different questions and really letting a different part of myself speak. And I was, trying to figure out why other people should come on this retreat. And as I was writing out my answers, it just popped into my head that, oh, because I wanted this retreat.
That is so amazing, because for me, I'm a big advocate of journal writing to figure things out, like just what you had said. But isn't it interesting that you were working on your sales page, or working in your business, and you were writing the page, and in the process of writing that page, you made this awesome link between your trip and what you wanted out of your trip. And that was like 20 years ago?
20 years. Yeah, it was the 20-year anniversary.
Wow, that is amazing. And that's, I think, the power of writing, is that when we start getting the ideas and thoughts and feelings out of our head and we put it onto a page or on a landing page or, whatever, like just that process of separating it from our brain and our hearts and our cells, just separating it can actually help us see things and see patterns or answers that we can't get if we're just thinking and worrying around in our head.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree.
That's so awesome. So back to that box. So when you were on that trip and you were asking the universe for what box do I fit in, but you realized that you had to create the box. Why is it so scary for people to create their own box?
Because starting in middle school, I know as far back as middle school, we all took an aptitude test to tell us what career we should be looking forward to. And when you're a little kid, they ask you, what's your favorite color and what do you want to be when you grow up? So we have these constant external expectations that we are going to fit in and be something that somebody else already recognizes. And, now that's even less possible than ever, because there are the jobs of, that the kids today will be filling haven't even been created yet. So, there's just all of this expectation that we're going to fit in. And I think I don't know if it's true for boys, but girls, I think, really want to fit in. And it's hard to, the whole thing about, when I go back to, the path is made by walking, it's like, oh, I'm not following someone else's trail. I have to be the one. I have a friend who used to visualize me out with my machete, just hacking my way through the forest, through the jungle. And that's what it is. And it's just scary. You don't know what's at the other end. You don't know exactly if you're heading in the right direction. You're just taking a step at a time. And there's nobody to say, oh, keep going.
So for people who are watching or listening, what do you recommend in terms of embracing writing as a way to unearth those stories that either don't serve us and need replacing, or creating the story or the container or the box through writing? What do you recommend?
I am an avid proponent of journaling, and even if it's just a few sentences a day, I found early on that it was a really powerful way for me to not only figure out what I wanted, but then to actually have it arrive in my life. But the other thing is too, that it's a really great tool for paying attention to your thoughts. So often when we're talking, we say things and they just slide right on by. But if you're writing it down, you're a little bit more involved, I think. And you can really start to go, oh, do I really believe that? Do I really think that?
Yeah.
Is that really serving me? Because a lot of times we have inherited beliefs about ourselves and our lives and what's possible that aren't rooted in any kind of reality. They're just other people's ideas.
Yeah. And it's really powerful when we start realizing that some of these limiting beliefs that we have are kind of inherited from our family or society. And that when we really, try on that dress, it doesn't fit us. It's not the right color.
Right.
But that writing really helps us pinpoint what kind of container or box or dress that we want to step into. And it's so empowering, because then we've got our machete, through the jungle, right? And we're really carving our space in the world as we desire it. So I think it's really powerful, and I love your thoughts on this. And I want to thank you for jumping on this call and sharing some of how you use story in your business.
Well, I appreciate the invitation. It helps me to get out of my comfort zone a little bit as well. So thank you.
That's awesome. So we're going to put a link below this video to the Story Lounge. And the Story Lounge is really where entrepreneurs come to unearth their stories that they can use in their business. And so if this conversation with Christine has sparked anything for you, definitely check out that link and see what the Story Lounge is all about and what it can do for you. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you again with another episode of Story and the Entrepreneur.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Bye.
Bye.